Hey programmers, Alvin here. Right now let's go over LeetCode number 111, the minimum depth of binary tree problem. So in this problem, we're going to take in a binary tree as input. And what we want to do is find the minimum depth of any leaf in the binary tree. So for example, let's look at this leaf node, G. We can say that it has a depth of 4. The way you calculate the depth is you just count the number of nodes from the path starting at the root down to that leaf. So that would start at A and end at G, like so. Because there are 4 nodes along this path, that means G has a depth of 4. Let's look at another node here. Let's say we look at the E and F nodes. Notice that they are leaf nodes, right? They're leaf nodes because they have no children. Notice that leaves E and F are found at a different depth. They have depth 3. Because we overall want to find the minimum depth of any leaf in this binary tree, what we should do is return 3. An important aspect of this problem is that we want to target leaf nodes. In other words, if I look at a node like C, it's pretty clear that C has a depth of 2, which is indeed smaller than 3, but unfortunately, C is not a leaf node, so we shouldn't return 2 here. What you want to do is find the minimum depth of a leaf node in this problem. So we'll need to make sure that we have that logic in our implementation. All right, so when it comes to the strategy for this one, you can solve this basically using any type of traversal algorithm, but what you want to do is track the distance that you travel from the root node. So it's okay if you solve this using either a depth-first traversal or even a breadth-first traversal. I'll show you both methods. Let's start with right now on the whiteboard, the breadth-first iterative version. So like you expect for any classic breadth-first traversal, I'm going to use a queue data structure. So I add items to the back of my queue and they leave from the front of my queue. I'm going to start with my root node A. And what I want to do is I want to add an item into my queue. So I'm going to have my items look like this. Notice I'm storing 2 things inside of a queue item. I'm going to store a reference to the node itself. I'm just going to symbolize that with the letter A. I'm also going to store a number. The number is going to represent how many nodes I've traveled from the root node to this particular node. Because A is the root itself, I'm going to initialize it with 1. That'll be my starting value. So I'm just going to add this to my queue. And now I'm ready to run my general algorithm. Over time, we want to update an additional variable. We'll call it our min depth. I'm going to initialize it to infinity. Infinity is a good default value here because I know that if I find any actual depth, like a real number, it's going to replace infinity because it's going to be smaller than infinity. So when I run this algorithm, what I want to do is just remove the front of my queue. So I'm going to dequeue that A item here, which means that I'm looking at this node over here. I don't need to update my min depth because A is not a leaf node, but I can see that easily because A has some children. So what I want to do is now add the children of A into the queue. So I'm going to create some new queue items. So I'm going to have an item containing B, and notice that it has a depth of 2 now. And the way I got that was I just took the depth of the parent, which was 1, and I just add 1 to it, right? In general, if a parent has depth D, that means the immediate children are going to have depth D plus 1. Makes sense. So I'm going to add B into my queue. And I also need to add A's right child, which would be the C node. It's also going to have a depth of 2. At this point, I'm done with A, so I continue my algorithm. I remove the front of my queue, so I dequeue B. And again, I can see that B is not a leaf node, so I don't update my min depth. What I do need to do is add B's children into my queue. Because B has a depth of 2, that means its children would have a depth of 3. So I'm going to add D and E into my queue. Now I'm ready to dequeue my next item from the queue. I'm going to dequeue the C. And notice that because I'm using a queue data structure, we are starting to get the breadth-first traversal. Notice in terms of the order of nodes I visited, I just went ABC rather than something like ABD, right? ABD would be similar to a depth-first traversal, but me going ABC is very indicative of a breadth-first traversal. Cool. So at this point, I can see that C is not a leaf node, so I don't need to update my min depth. I do need to add C's children. So F would have a depth of 3, and I add that to the back of my queue. Great. Next iteration, I remove the D from my queue, and I can see that D is not a leaf node, so I just need to add its children into my queue. So I add G to the back of my queue. Next iteration, I dequeue the E node. And here's a really key moment. If I look at the E node, I can see that E is actually a leaf because it has no children. So what I should do is potentially update my min depth. So I'm going to look at my queue item. It says that E has a depth of 3. And I compare that against my min depth. I can see that 3 is most certainly less than infinity, so I replace 3 as my min depth. Great. And what I was able to do is just consider this path to E. Notice that there are 3 nodes. That's what I'm able to logically accomplish during this algorithm. Of course, since E has no children, it's a leaf node, I don't need to add anything to the queue for E. So I just continue my algorithm. Remove the front of my queue or remove the F node. I can see that F is a leaf and it has a depth of 3. It's actually a tie with my current min depth, so I don't need to update anything here. Finally, on my last iteration, I dequeue G. I see that G is a leaf node, so I consider its depth. Its depth is 4, which is not less than my min depth of 3, so 3 gets to stay as my min depth. At this point, I'm actually done with my algorithm. My queue would be empty, which means that I've traveled through the entire tree. All I need to do is return the final result I have stored in this min depth variable. Now, when it comes to the operations we perform here, of course, we're going to add and remove every node of the tree into our queue. And when you perform those operations on your queue, a single instance of adding an item to a queue or removing an item from a queue, those run in constant time. In other words, queues have constant time for their in-queue and dequeue operations. So overall, if we say that n is the number of nodes here, the time complexity is just O of n. That's because every node is going to be added to the queue once and also removed from the queue once. On the flip side, space complexity is also going to be O of n, coming from those queue items we store on the queue. All right, now let's code this one up. I'll show you the code for the breadth first iterative and also the depth first iterative because it's almost identical. All right, so to attack this one with a iterative breadth first, I'm going to import my deck. So from collections, import deck. It gives me access to an efficient queue data structure. I'm going to initialize it down here. Going to initialize this with a tuple. So remember that when we stored items onto our queue, we stored two things, a reference to the node itself, as well as the depth that it has. So I'm going to put the root node, and it's going to have an initial depth of just 1. I'll call that my queue. Now my general algorithm is just going to have the shape of a classic breadth first traversal. So I can check while my queue is not empty, run the algorithm. That means I remove the front of my queue. So I'll do pop left here. And that'll give me two things. It's going to give me my current node as well as my depth that it has, which is just D, I'll say. And over time, I do want to do some min value logic. So I'm going to have a min D variable over here. I'll say min D like this. And I'm going to initialize it to infinity. So I can say float infinity in Python. And so over here, when something leaves the queue, that's where I'm going to consider it. So I'm going to check if this node's depth is less than my min depth that I found thus far. And if it is, I'm going to replace it because I always want to choose the minimum like so. Great. Now beyond that, what I want to do is continue the traversal. So I need to add the children into the queue. So if the left exists, I'll say if node.left is not none, then add the left child into the queue. So queue.append. And always be sure to add your tuple because you're going to add a reference to the node itself and also its depth. If the parent has depth D, that means the children have depth D plus 1. And I'll do that for the right-hand side, all the same. Nice. And at this point, this should actually perform the minimization logic over all of the depths, getting me the minimum. After you're done traversing through your entire tree, just return whatever min D is. And before I run it, one thing I want to add is I want to make sure that I target leaf nodes. So I should really only replace my min depth whenever I have a leaf node. So I can do that check over here. So I can check if node.left is none and node.right is none. And I can also say and here. So if you wanted to, you can even maybe split this up. It's not a big deal. Maybe this line is a little long. It'd be logically equivalent. Maybe. Just for the purpose of this tutorial, this is probably a little more clear if I nest these like so. So here I have a check for whether or not the node I just removed from my queue, if it's a leaf node. So if it's a leaf node, then I'm going to additionally check if it has a smaller depth. And if it's a smaller depth, then I replace my min depth. So before I run it, I need to say collections here. Give that a submission. We're missing an important test case, but we can fix it together. Looking at my output here it's telling me that my input node is actually my root node is null. So I just want to handle that explicitly. So if your top level root is none, what should you return? You should just return 0 based on like the test cases there. So I'll give that a shot. And there we have it. So this is my iterative breadth first solution. If you wanted to modify this into an iterative depth first, it's really straightforward. Just use your different data structure. So instead of my queue, I would call this a stack. And your stack is just going to be a plain old Python list. You're going to pop from the top of your stack, and append to the top of your stack. So down below would be my iterative depth first flavor. Nice. Now let's head back to the whiteboard. Now let's go over the whiteboard for the recursive solution. If you solve this one recursively, it is going to be a type of depth first solution. Because we know that depth first uses a stack data structure for its ordering. If you implement any recursive code, you're going to utilize the underlying call stack. So if I want to plan for this one recursively, I'm going to consider my base cases. So let me start with a simple node. Let me look at the G node. So to start planning this one on the whiteboard, what I want to do is consider some possible base cases. What I would do is look at a leaf node like G. And what I want to think about is, what would the correct result be for this G node? What should it return? And I think it should return the number 1. In other words, whenever you have a leaf node, you should return 1. And the way I reason about that logically is, let's say that that single node was its own input. In other words, what if I had a very trivial tree, a tree containing only one node? Let's say it was just the Z node. And I wanted to ask myself, what's the minimum depth of a leaf in this very small tree? Well, because Z is actually a leaf node, it also happens to be the root node because it's the only node, it should return 1, right? The minimum depth in this small tree containing just one node, the minimum depth is just 1. And I'm going to utilize that logic here. So for all of these other leaf nodes, they're also going to return 1, like so. Great. Now let me consider some asymmetric cases. What I mean is I want to look at a node like C, right? I know C has a child on its right, but it has nothing on its left. In other words, its left points to null. Maybe I want to consider that null case. What should that return? Well, because you don't want to actually consider null when you find your path to a leaf, I'm going to have it return infinity. And you might be wondering, like, why does it make sense to return infinity? Well, in the course of this problem, what we want to do is overall find the minimum depth. If I have a null node return infinity, I know infinity is a very large quantity. When I perform my minimization logic, in other words, when I choose smaller values over time, I know infinity is never going to be chosen, right? Because it's the largest number possible. And you'll see that in action in a moment. So far, our important base cases are when we have a leaf node, we're going to return 1. And when we have a null node, we're going to return infinity. All right, so let's see how this logic would work. Before I get going, let me also fill in the null pointer on the right of the D node. That would also be null, right? And so we know that that would return infinity. All right, so let's start evaluating things now. Let's consider this D node. How would D compute its result from its child results? Well, I know that D is going to look at a 1 on its left and also an infinity on its right. Because I want to find the minimum depth over time, I'm going to choose the smaller of these two values. It is the case that 1 is smaller than infinity, so I'm going to choose the 1. However, now that I've chosen that subresult, I need to also add an additional +1 here. Adding 1 like this gives me the ability to count the D node into the depth. And if I do a quick pause here, at any points of this kind of recursive evaluation, you should have correct subresults. So what I'm saying is, if I look at this D node, it's going to return 2. So if I look at the subtree rooted in D, 2 should be the minimum depth within that subtree. Of course, that would correspond to this path, right? If I look at this subtree, it is going to return 2, because that's the minimum depth. Great. So let's keep rolling here. Let's look at the B node now. I know that B is going to consider 2 on its left and 1 on its right. Because I want to find the minimum depth, I choose a smaller of those values. So I choose the 1. And then I additionally do a +1 here to count the B node. And this makes sense. This 2 that B is returning, it corresponds to this path, right? That would be the minimum depth within the subtree starting at B. Great. Now let's look at the C node over here. C is going to consider infinity on its left and 1 on its right. It chooses the smaller value, which is 1. And then it does an additional +1. And finally, at the root node A is going to consider 2 on its left and 2 on its right. They're equal values, so I could just choose either of them, right? Neither of them are smaller than the other. But I also need to be sure to add a +1 to it. So A's result is ultimately going to be 3. And that would correspond to the minimum depth within this tree. Notice that the minimum depth can either be derived from the E node that came from the left side or the F node that came from the right side. If we say that n is the number of nodes here, time complexity for your solution should really just be O of n still, right? Because you're going to make a recursive call for every node of the tree. Space complexity here is also going to be O of n because you're going to store these recursive calls on the call stack. So I need a few different base cases here. I'm going to start by checking if my root is none. So if root is none, what should I return? Well, on the whiteboard, we returned basically infinity. So I'm going to return float inf. Again, that's a great choice because this is never going to be chosen when I perform min value logic. So that's one of my base cases. I also need to check if the root is actually a leaf, or if this node that I'm calling recursively is a leaf. So if root.left is none and root.right is none. So if this node is like a leaf node, what would be the depth in this leaf node? I'm going to have this return 1. So how do I put this all together? So I'm going to split this up into different lines maybe. I'll say self.min depth of root.left. I'll call it my left depth. I'll also do the same for my right. That'll be my right depth. And what I want to do is now choose the minimum between them. So I can just do built-in min of my left depth and my right depth, right? But what we also need to do is be sure to add 1 to that, just like we did on the whiteboard. You can return that as your final answer. Give that a submission. So we're passing almost every test case except one of them. It would be when the top level root is empty or none, right? It's telling us that the expected result should be 0. From our code, we're returning technically infinity, right? Positive infinity. LeetCode's a little finicky. We're not actually returning null. I think it just doesn't know how to interpret this infinity. So if you want to handle this case, you will want to create like a separate main function and have this be your recursive helper. And so the reason is I really love how I'm able to use the infinity here to help me do the min value logic during the recursion. But top level, you want it to behave a little different. So I'm going to make this my recursive helper. So I'm going to name it with an underscore. And for my main method, for the most part, it's going to just refer to the helper. So, right, it's just calling upon the helper. But at least up here, I can guard with now an initial check. I can say if the top level root is none, then return 0. So let's give that a test run. And be sure to do self dot and give that a test run. Nice. And there we have it. That would be your recursive solution. All right, I hope you found this useful. If you want to check out more data structure and algorithm from me in the future, then consider hitting subscribe.